The reality of the Gospel World Outreach Ministries presents the Voice of Deliverance broadcast, featuring the explosive preaching, bold teaching, and the powerful prayer of deliverance of Heaven's Ambassador, Leonard Ford. Brother Ford is a minister that does what others don't, and he has a ministry that goes where others won't. He and his wife, Jessie, travel across America and around the world, preaching hope and bringing deliverance. Whether they are in the church, under the gospel tent, or on the mission field, they boldly declare that if you continue in the word, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Now I present to you Brother Ford.
Praise the Lord, BTN viewers. Listen, I'm here today and I have a very special guest, an anointed woman of God, an anointed pastor that's doing a tremendous work in the state of Arkansas. She's in the city of Stuttgart. So she's going to be my special guest today. So I want you to grab that pen, grab that pad. You might want to write down the address so you can visit. Those of you that's looking for a church home and looking for somebody who don't just preach but actually has vision, who's doing something in the community. You know, Jesus told us when he rose, he told us, he said, go into Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and into the utmost parts of the world. Well, at that time, he literally meant what he said, Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria. So now for us, we take that as our city, then our state, then our nation. So I want you to make welcome to the Deliverance broadcast tonight on the Voice of Deliverance, none other than Pastor Ernestine Thomas. God bless you, Pastor Thomas.
God bless you.
Good to have you on the program today. And I want you to really just share your vision with the people of Central Arkansas.
Okay.
Let them know what you're doing. Well, matter of fact, what's the name of your ministry?
Turning Point Ministries.
Turning Point Ministries. Okay. Now, before we get started, so they'll know you're not a novice, I'm a new upstart. How long have you been actually in the ministry?
Wow, about 37 years.
37 years in ministry. You've been pastoring how long?
Pastoring 22 years.
Pastoring 22 years.
Yes.
Okay, so now you heard that. Now, so I'm not talking to a novice. We're talking to somebody that's got experience dealing with people and in the same place. Let me say that. She's been pastoring 22 years in the same place. She ain't jumped around and shuffled the church like a job like most folks do because she knows she has an assignment with the city that she's in. So before we get too far in it, I want you just look into the camera and tell them what is the vision statement of your ministry. And then we get to talk about your vision.
Well, my vision statement, Prophet Ford, is to minister to the total man, both spiritual, emotional, and economically.
And I noticed that you had a statement that said that you're turning lives through faith. So let's talk about that.
Okay. One of the things that when God called me, and I believe the call has been on my life ever since I was a child. Most ministers down there, pastors, recognize me as mother. So, and I think it's because that mother figure is there. Even as a child, I was always just loving toward children and elderly people. And during the time that God began to really deal with me and I got serious with Christ, I began to do street ministries. Okay. And in course of that, many were won to Christ, and after they were delivered, I had to have a place that we could help preserve these souls. Many times they were getting delivered and returning to the same environment, and I was working with my home church, and I would ask my husband if it would be okay to take my paycheck to rent a building so that they would not have to return to the same invested environment there. And I began to visualize so many needs because there were so many people that were hurt, emotional, where incest was involved, and of course singles, doing a lot of housekeeping and so forth. And the Lord, favor just came upon me. For this young man gave me a house where we sheltered 4 women, and we went to Oklahoma to an Indian reservation, and we did a revival there. And the Lord told me, he said, it's time to pack up and move to Stuttgart. He said, your assignment is just about through there in Little Rock. And meanwhile, while we were doing that, we came in contact with children, a mother and her children. And make long story short, we adopted those two children. We got involved with foster care, and I had a passion just for hurting children that had no father figure or mother figure in their lives. And we adopted two of 11. There was a sibling of 11. And that was just, I guess, the mercy for hurting children as well as the adult. And before we moved there, we rented 3 houses there in North Little Rock where we had 4 women that we housed. And one of the vital thing that was needed was to get them educated in areas. Yeah. So we began to help them to get their GED. Some went on to college. There were programs such as support groups that we used to kind of educate them in areas. Sexual abuse, where most of them had been, just in abusive situations there. So God gave us favor once again. And as we got ready to move, God told me to use my house in Little Rock to shelter the other 4 ladies. So, and it was very productive when we did that. We, I guess, graduated maybe about 8 out of my home before we, moved to Stuttgart.
Okay. Now, so that shows the compassion. That shows me the heart, the nurturing heart of the woman of God as she pastors, as she said, not only children but elderly as well.
Yeah.
But so what I want you to do, because you said Turning Point Ministries' vision is to minister to the total man by providing diverse services for spiritual, social, and emotional growth.
Right.
So I want you to just look into the camera and talk to that person that may be, tired of just church as usual, looking for a place to go, and talk to them about your main goal for all services rendered.
Right. Okay. One of the things, sometimes people make a lot of excuses, and a lot of time we can agree that people are genuinely hurting, and they come out, they're hopeless, and they will tell us, this is why I turned to dope, because there's no services around here that are rendered to give us hope. And we take those destitute statements and we begin to visualize and ask God, how does he want us to do this? So God said, okay, let's begin to provide aftercare service for children so that it can help them economically with that. So in the afternoon from 3 until 6, we were holding aftercare services for mothers of working fathers that had jobs, were going to school, and we wanted to be able to provide that for them and mentoring for our youth. Many times our youth had nothing to do but stand on the streets and kind of get themselves in trouble. So we provided at that time fathers to the fatherless. And they began to take them to games, take them to movies, play ball with them, get them involved in something positive that would kind of build their self-esteem up as well as educate them.
That's a blessing. When you was talking about that hopeless, and that hopeless spirit, there's no goal, there's no vision. They don't see any way to come out. I was reading after a man of God the other day in Toronto, and he was talking about how when God sent him there, what he did was he started looking at what was going on in the correctional system. So he got involved with the youth at no charge. In other words, he wasn't being paid for it. He just wanted to reach them. And he said when he first went in there, he started dealing with the gang members. And he said he got shot at several times, but he wouldn't leave. He said he just played the blood of Jesus and kept going. And now he's looking back over the last 18 years. This is his 19th year. And this one young man who had been in college, got involved with the wrong people, lost hope, was out in the gangs. This guy got him into a program, first of all. And then as he began to deal with it, he got him into another program where he could finish his education. And when he got his education finished, he just, he went on. Years later, 2 years ago, this young man walked up on him and said, his name is Martinez. He said, "How you doing, Mr. Martinez?" And he looked him in the eye. He says, "You don't know who I am, do you?" He said, "I'm sorry, sir, but I don't know you." And he told me, he said, "I'm the young man who was in college and had gotten the wrong lifestyle and because of your program, get me back on my feet. Now the man is an attorney.
Wow.
So see, he gave him hope.
Wow.
And so that's what I'm saying. When you're talking about getting them an education,
Yes.
you're putting them back in society, not to be a statistic,
Right.
but to make a difference.
Right.
And so I noticed one of your main goals was to render help to the hopeless, the destitute. And a lot of times people are hopeless and they make wrong decisions.
Right.
Because they think, you talk to some of the young men, especially those involved in the gangs, and they talk about stuff like, well, I'm going to be dead before I'm 25 anyway, so I might well just do what I can do. But when you can give them hope. I was looking here in the scriptures.
Yeah.
It said in the book of Romans, talking about Abraham, Romans 4:17, as it is written, I have made thee a father of many nations, before whom he believed, even who God, who quickeneth the dead and calleth those things that be not as though they were. When God said this, Abraham was barren.
Right.
In other words, he was not in the natural what God said he was.
Right.
And in the natural, there was no way to be what God said he was.
Right.
But because God spoke to him vision for his life, the next verse says, who against hope believed in hope. There was no natural reason to expect this.
Right.
But because God said it, it brought him a hope. So that's what I see Turning Point Ministries is doing.
Right.
Maybe speaking into a person's life that has no hope.
That's it.
And then it gives them that spark of hope. So, okay, well, I'm going to try. Because their mother have told them, the grandparents have told them, some teachers have told them, but they listen to their peers and other folks. Sometimes people put a tag on you. You don't be like your no good daddy. You ain't going to be nothing. Your granddaddy wasn't about nothing. His daddy wasn't nothing. All the men in this household wind up, and you're going to be a jailbird like the rest of them.
Right.
Well, that's been drilled in that child, and he starts trying to act it out. Because one thing the young man in Toronto did was he told him, he said, you know what? You are not going to die before you're 20 years old. He said, and you are not a gangster. And you have purpose. God has a reason for your life. And he was in a situation where, because he finally, after 5 years, the government hired him.
Wow.
So now he can't preach the gospel, but he knew how to keep his words positive.
Wow.
And he kept speaking hope to those young men and has literally changed that place.
Wow. Because most of the time what they're looking for is love, and just someone to just listen to them. And even though some of the wrong choices I made as a child, even as an adult, to get their faith watered up a lot of time, I would tell them what I went through. And as a mother, if it was probably a negative situation that I made the choice. I was brought up in a godly atmosphere. But I told them, I said, look at me now, how God has changed my life and what I could have. I said, when I met my husband, I was, buying a home. I said, I was a single mother. But to the single classes, that's why it has been effective, because sometimes we think we've got to have a man, staying with us or, do other ungodly things to make things work. But I used my life to kind of help to build their faith up, to let them know that God is not of a respectable person. If he did it for me, he'll do the same for them.
Well, and I want you, this viewing, to know this too. Even though she's speaking from her own experience, I have friends that are single fathers that have raised their girls with dignity and let them know all men aren't dogs. There is hope in life.
That's it.
And so young men have to understand you don't have to have that woman living with you to be. There are things you can learn how to do.
Right.
And if you take heed and realize you can get up from here, from where you are right now, as bad as it is right now, your life can change. Your life can be changed. If you hear what she's saying, what we're trying to tell you is that God is that answer.
Right.
We're not talking about religion.
Right.
And you got to understand this is a pastor, so we do believe in the local church.
Right.
We do want you to come to church. We want you to understand, don't base your future on what you have seen in church.
Right.
Because every church is actually not Christ-centered, but then every church is not as bad as you think it is because of that experience you had some time ago of what you have seen. We know that there are imperfect people. We know that there are people in the pulpit in a position to be a mentor and have failed you, and you've seen them in the city, living ungodly lives. But again, I want you to understand that's not the plot of every pastor.
Right.
So the local church is a place where you can come. Jesus told us to go into all the world and make disciples.
Right.
You got to be trained. So to be disciple, you got to, first of all, you got to be willing to be disciple. I mean, your attitude got to change, and then you got to show up. Right. It's like you can't get an education if you don't go to class. It don't matter. They give you a full ride scholarship. If you don't show up, you're going to lose the scholarship and then go back to the street. So Turning Point Ministries is trying to be an international harvest center to bring you out of the world, but into the kingdom, and then develop you with some principles that can make a difference in your life long term. So watch this. You can go back into society and make a difference. Like she's giving her testimony as a single mom, but then she met a man, a godly man, and they've been together for years now, touching lives. So the same thing can happen. You just got to be patient. You got to understand. Let's talk about this for a minute.
Okay.
Is it difficult for you to get the young people, particularly, to see who they are in Christ once you get them off the streets without hope?
Well, we've had some pretty productive, fruitful ones that have come off, off the street. And what I found to be more effective, profit forward, is the support group. There were so many that were shamed. They had been through bullying, and so many that were rejected because of their past. But I normally use my lifestyle on how God has brought me through. Then others will tell their testimony. But really, we've seen some very fruitful young men and women. And one of the young guys could not stay out of jail. We got into foster care. He could not stay out of jail. And when he came in and Pastor Robert began to minister to him and really show him love, because he never had a relationship with his father. And after he felt that love, because my husband kind of talk a little tough and rough, but it's in love. And I was telling him, I said, maybe if you tone your voice down, Robert. But the guy told him, he said, no, I like that tough. I want it. I can identify with that. And even with our summer camp that we have, Camp Joseph, you would think that they wouldn't want to come, but they love him. Every summer from June to August, we run from about 47, maybe to 139 children. We feed them. The church feed them. We are not on a government program, but the church pick them up, feed them breakfast, have a Bible study with them, and they do the little activities or go on field trips. And they are some happy, happy, happy people. Last year, because, a little displacement, we didn't get a chance to do it. But we tried to educate them both spiritual and naturally. And Pastor Robert has become their little father there in Stuttgart.
Well, see, I think that's excellent. Even like what you were saying. See, you was looking at the situation from a mother's heart.
Right.
And then Pastor Robert was dealing with it as a father and as a man.
Right.
And then dealing with a young man who has had no boundaries.
Right.
So see, when he step up and put boundaries. See, teenagers push boundaries, but they want boundaries.
Right.
If you keep bagging them, they're going to keep pushing.
Right.
But it's got to come somewhere when it stops. And see, just the tone of your husband's voice.
Right.
And that look in his eye. The guy, first of all, he's already ministered to him, so he know he love him.
Right.
But now he's saying, I love you too much to let you go past this.
Right.
I'm not going to let you continue. And then out of his own mouth, the young man said, that's what I'm looking for.
Right.
And so I want you fathers to realize that. Sometimes you're so passive and you're just trying to be this buddy to your kid.
Right.
And right now he don't need a buddy.
No.
He needs a daddy.
Right.
He needs a man to stand up to him, set boundaries while he loves him. And remember when you was young, your mama used to tell you, I'm just doing this because I love you. And then she gave you the worst beating you ever had. But why? I'm trying to put some disciplines in your life.
Right.
I'm trying to curve you to let you know there are consequences to life.
Right.
And maybe if I can put enough pressure and inflict enough pain now, you'll avoid the pain of society. You'll avoid the pain of prison.
Right.
So let's talk about living with purpose for a little bit.
Okay, good. And what I see a lot of times, Minister Ford, as you were saying, people don't know why they were born, what they were called to do in life. One of the programs in our support group for the teens is what we do. We start pretty much with the basic, let them know how much God loves them, and just because we fall doesn't necessarily mean that you're a failure in life. And we tell them that you'll never be the one that are saved, be any more righteous than you are now. You may fall, but you get up, start all over again. And one of the things that really touched my heart were the ones that had gotten out there with the wrong company a lot of time. and they return and say, I wish I had listened the first time. I messed up, but the mercy, because we work in conjunction with the police department and with the juvenile system down there. So Miss Fonda does a super job with working with me, with the children, because she knows that we're solid in our belief and that we are there as a support base for those children. So even though that step out, they get in wrong environment, get involved with drugs, alcohol, and basically with the girls, we have a lot of teenage pregnancy down there. And they say I'm old-fashioned. So I really try to put the young ladies that can identify with them, but I do explain. I never get off the word of God that, God.
Old-fashioned is a standard.
Yeah.
And the Bible tells us, go back to find the old path, turn to the old landmark.
Right.
And if we move them, if we remove those foundations, what the righteous is going to do.
Right.
So while we still got time, I want you to look into the camera and tell people how they can get involved with you, how they can support you, how they can, at what level you would like them to support you, either, on a weekly basis, monthly basis, annually. Right. How can they get involved with you?
Okay. If you desire to become a partner with Turning Point Ministries on a weekly or monthly basis, you can send in your donations. Our P.O. Box is P.O. Box 296. That's Stuttgart, Arkansas. And also, because we're getting ready to venture back into setting captive free, which we originally started out, our P.O. Box, because we'll be setting up substations around the state, is P.O. Box 1668, North Little Rock, Arkansas, 72115. 72115. And then if you desire to become a partner, and you can mail it in to us at both of those P.O. boxes. We are located on 405 East Michigan Avenue, Stuttgart, Arkansas. And God told me to change the title of our the outreach, the ministry, church ministry, to Turning Point Harvest Center. Turning Point Harvest Center. Because right now, of course, He's so faithful. We paid the building off in about 13 years. And, that helped to really build our faith up. That was a big turning point for us because we don't have hundreds of thousands of people profit for it, but they're faithful people. So we really need a lot of volunteers that are degreed in that area to, if you donate some of your time and service to us, we certainly could use it down in that area. And of course, the bank has given us a house down there. We're looking for more property because we're doing twofold, program right now where we'll be able to work with the juvenile as well as the adults that are coming out of prison and juvenile there, along with our pregnancy nest that we have down there for our teenagers that are pregnant. We don't condone that, but because they've made that mistake, we want them to see God love and to, help them to know that God has forgiven them and there is hope and there's another chance that they can turn their lives around by being in this program.
Okay. Choices have consequences.
Yeah.
So listen, now she was very nice. She didn't give you a particular amount that you have to send to be a partner.
Right.
But I want you to think about it. Sending at least $25 a month.
Amen.
And listen, I have partners in my ministry that send a gift annually. Some send a gift quarterly. Some send it every 6 months. Get involved.
Right.
And she said something there that's important. We want you to know that some of you that have expertise in your field, if you would volunteer your time to share your expertise so that they can reach these children. Right. Listen, they're not charging a fee for the children to come in. When people come out of prison, they can't pay a fee no way. Right. So she didn't talk much about going into the prison. But if you could volunteer and come down and help them, that would be tremendous at no charge. You're showing your service and you're coming. They don't have to give you no gas money. You're just showing up working with them in the confines of their program. There's one thing about volunteering. You still have to work with her as if you were a paid employee, because God has given her the vision, and you're hooking up with her vision, and you're her hands, her arms, her outreach to reach out and touch people in a way that's going to be positive. And one thing I found out, Pastor Thomas, by going into the prison, they want to know you're going to come back. They want you to be consistent. You're going to be there. You come in there 3, 4, 5 months, you're gone. So when a person starts volunteering, you know, maybe you want to find out up front, how long can you do this? So we can set a precedent. You know, if the person says, I can give you 6 months, then, okay, I got a 6-month program. We're going to have this. And then next 6 months, we'll do something else. So the people there don't get this expectation for a long-term thing. And then the person dissolves or just, you know, vanishes on you.
Right. And that's what we do. We've really seen a fruitful, you know, outturn of the residents that are coming out, and some that really should have gotten time. The mercy of God has been there. And my pastor would tell me all the time, girl, that's what you got is a mercy ministry. And I know to whom much is given, much is required. So, you know, one of my ultimate goals is to give back that love and mercy that God has given unto me to others, and to let them see the love of God through my life by implementing shelters and feeding program, clothing, you know, for them. In fact, quarterly, Prophet Forward, we send clothes down to guys that are getting ready to come out. And they're not junk clothes. They're, I mean, just nice things that, you know, the warden had written us a letter saying those are some of the nicest things that we could have done. So we do take clothes donation, especially for the men that are coming out of prison.
Well, praise the Lord. Listen, our time has expired. Those of you that's looking for a church home and looking for somebody who don't just preach but actually has vision, who's doing something in the community, you know, our time has expired for the day. But on this closing note, I want to suggest to some of you that will be donating clothes, buy some. I mean, you know, stuff is on sale all the time. You shop for yourself. Don't everything shouldn't have to come out your closet. Why? Because we're trying to bring that dignity up there. Worth. No, somebody cares about you. You have value. You have worth, and that's going to create self-worth, self-esteem for them to come forth and know. And it also changes their attitude about the house of God, the household of faith, and the ministry. God bless you. Appreciate you for being with us. This is Prophet Ford letting you know once again, Jesus will pull you through if you can stand the pool. Amen. God bless you.
Encouraged through the uncompromising message that you heard today. If you would like to have this message in its entirety, send $8 for compact disc or $20 for video to the Reality of the Gospel Ministries Incorporated, P.O. Box 164091, Little Rock, Arkansas 72216. If you would like to become a partner with this ministry, you may do so by joining the Ally 200 Club at $25 a month, or you may become a Truth Ally for $10 or more each month. Send your offerings to the Reality of the Gospel Ministries Incorporated, P.O. Box 164091, Little Rock, Arkansas 72216. If you continue in God's word, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.